Eric, put that gun down. You haven't rolled yet.
I'm the DM now.
But I have the power. I'm going to roll for initiative, and how well I roll is how this podcast gets started.
Oh, God.
It's a 20! That's a nat 20, baby! Welcome to the sausage tray. I'm Josh. That's Eric. And that's Justin. Hell yeah.
It worked out. All right. Let's
So this podcast is the best podcast we're ever going to have. So, I'm going to throw it to Justin over there. You want to go ahead and talk about...
Yeah, dude. Yes, I do. Absolutely. Like Josh said, welcome to the Sausage Tray. That's our bi-weekly bullshit podcast. And as you can see, we're starting out strong. Happy to be back with you guys. You can catch us every other week on youtube.com/roommatesgaming when this video goes live. You can catch us on Anchor when we publish it out. Anchor being our podcast host that puts audio formats on every fucking thing you could listen to from Google, iTunes, Spotify, others. Yeah. Catch us on Twitter, Instagram. All the links for all that good stuff is down below in the description, and the Discord. Please join the Discord channel. Jump in, talk with us, bullshit. Throw your ideas at us for things you would like us to discuss on the podcast, and we'll be happy to do that. It's always a lot of fun. Also, real quick, I did say this is our bi-weekly podcast. So on alternating Fridays, this goes up on Friday, alternating Fridays, we put up our Hard at Play podcast where we talk about gaming and other things that we're into. Surprise, surprise. Today we're talking about gaming, but not in the way you think.
Yeah,
Josh, clickbait. Over to you.
A new type of gaming.
New?
A newfangled magic way of playing a video game.
The new old school.
The original way to play a video game, if you would.
Right.
No, yeah, I wanted to, I thought just randomly, it popped into my head the other day for a topic for Sausage Tray. I mean, because we all, I think one of the main reasons because it was my birthday this past Friday, and
Happy late birthday.
thank you. And we got together, and we I bought some new games to play, and I think that's why it was fresh on my mind. And my mom's birthday was this weekend too, and I brought those games over to play on her birthday with just the family and stuff, and we had a lot of fun. And I think that's why it's just fresh on my mind, just because I've recently played a bunch of tabletop type games, party games. So I mean, it's something we all have a common interest in too. Like Eric is addicted to Critical Role, so that boy.
It's Laura Bailey, man. How can you turn away?
And Ashley Johnson.
That is true.
Ashley Birch was a guest on there.
Yeah, I remember a few of those episodes. Well, yeah, even
I forget how many people are involved with Critical Role. Realistically,
yeah, I was wondering if they put a Critical Role reference or Easter egg in The Last of Us 2, since both of the main characters are played by two of the actors who are in Critical Role. Both Ashley and Laura Bailey are main cast of Critical Role. So I was wondering if there was a Critical Role Easter egg hidden somewhere. And I remember I actually was walking through one of the buildings, and there was a whole tabletop set up in one of the apartments. And I was I summoned Eric. I was like, Eric, come here. You know more about
Drew the pentagram.
Yeah, drew the pentagram through a Legend of Zelda item there. A bag of dice and a Pepsi, and that summoned Eric. I was like, Eric, tell me, is any of this a Critical Role reference? Because I don't know much about it. Tell me. And he's like, I don't think so. But I was like, dang it, I was really hoping I found something, because both of the main characters of the game are on Critical Role.
right?
You said those ingredients for summoning me as a joke, but if you wanted to summon me, that's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
Magic Click Clack Rocks, Pepsi, and Zelda.
That was pretty good for being out of your ass right
Yeah,
there.
we go. That'll finish it up.
A katana would help it out.
That was great. Yeah, we actually didn't have a firm topic for this week, and you threw that in the chat earlier today. I'm like, Yep, that works. That's good. Like I like that a lot. And you mentioned buying the games for your birthday, which is a little ass backwards, but you bought the games for us to play on your birthday and for your mom's birthday. And after playing at your house, I came home, got on Amazon, and ordered one of them, and or the one that I was there for at least. And I love it. Like I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I had a chance to like play it. It is.
I kind of want more
crazy fun. Yes,
the expansions. The game I'm talking about is Moniker. That game's pretty fun.
Yep,
it was really funny. But before he bought them, he was telling me about them, and he was telling me about Moniker. And as he was describing, I'm like, hang on a minute. I've played this several times, just without the actual game. We just wrote words down and threw them in a bowl.
Like it's a really simple concept, but when you were when we were at your birthday and you were describing this to us, I was listening. I'm like, okay, that sounds like charades, but with extra steps. That's kind of cool. And then, and I'm thinking on a surface level that it's going to be pretty tame. And then we got the cards and started flipping through the deck, and I'm like, this is so much more than I thought it was gonna be, and I loved it so much.
I know. I love the fact that like throughout our different times of playing, we had like little inside jokes, like Lando bastard,
bastard. Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's like one of the best parts about that game is like that's what it's like helps. To make little inside jokes, and it's great.
You read your friends at that point, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's really what it's for. And it was a blast. And it just like flipping through to see, like, Jim Halpert, Lando Calrissian, guy fucking a dolphin. Like the escalation is so remarkably quick and so good. I was like, this is great.
Brick and washing machine on trampoline.
Yeah, I'm happy I never got that card. Not once did that come across to me. Somebody else got it every time.
I thought it was funny when we had like simple cards and everyone would pass it around and no one would be able to guess it. And everyone who got to see the card went, oh, no, yeah, it makes perfect sense why that was what was said.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Did you guys play Wavelengths?
Yeah, we played Wavelengths a little later in the night, but it was very late. And like, so we were kind of all like tired.
Yeah.
So it didn't like
brain no work so good.
It didn't work as well. But like when I played it at my mom's for her birthday, like we had a lot of fun. Like we played that one for longer than I expected us to play. I mean, because it was really fun. Because like one of the cool things about it was since we didn't have even teams, we were doing more of like the party game version of it, where you like basically just go around and by the end of everybody going around, you see how many points you've actually accumulated, and that's how well you did.
Right.
Like a test or something like that. Like BuzzFeed, are you, Ursula kind of like, or this is how well you know Disney test. And it was actually really fun because we would get different like topics, and sometimes they would actually be pretty good topics, and whoever would say the word that you're supposed to like think of to help give a clue to about, they would give like a really interesting clue, and it would make us like talk for a while trying to like figure out where where the cone point would be. And so like I think it would be much better to try again when we weren't so tired, because right. I mean, I have proof that it was really fun when we weren't, tired as balls, and it was pretty fucking fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love board games, and I know we all love board games and the different aspects. I mean, I know Eric and I would like, whenever a new tabletop from like the tabletop show that Will Wheaton did on Geek and Sundry, when a new episode would come out, Eric and I would watch it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talk about how much fun that game would probably be to play.
Yeah, we were like, oh man, that game seems really fun. We should buy one. We should buy this game and play it. I bet it looks fun. We never really did that.
No. I like every time my wife and I go to Barnes and Noble or Target or anywhere else, and we're walking through the store, like we go past the game aisle, like I want this and I want this and I want this and I want this, because we have party games, like we have Cards Against Humanity, We have we have Joking Hazard. I was a backer for it, and I love it. It's so much fun. We have Munchkin. That's a tabletop game for people that don't play tabletop RPG.
Yeah, that is a great explanation for Munchkin.
Yeah, it's like it's a good way to ease people into that kind of fun idea. Readjusting the camera. It's
it would not fucking focus. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's a great game for people that like to get them involved if they want to play and not just be left out, while at the same time having that tabletop kind of fun, but with a complete and total self-awareness that can only come from from that type of game. You know what I mean? Like it knows what it is, and it knows it's making fun of the whole genre while still getting you involved in the genre and being fun. But yeah, like we have stuff like that. But to get to your point about like tabletop games, I've wanted like the Arkham games and things like that for a long time. Things that, like some creepy stuff, some fun stuff, but like role playing stuff that we could have that may not be a single sit down session. I'd love to get into that more than we have so far.
Yeah. I think the first like legit game that I bought like that, like as an adult, was Mansions of Madness.
That's one of the ones.
And that game is pretty like intense, but it's fun. Like the few times that I have gotten to play it with people, it's always been an interesting ride.
Yeah, I would say that one specifically isn't for the timid player. I would say it requires you to be very confident in your ability to play the actual game.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's kind of, I don't want to say hardcore because I feel like it's not that hardcore, but like I also like have been playing pen and paper games for a very long time as well. So, and those are much more involved depending on who you're playing with, or the rule sets that whatever game you happen to be playing. But like it is still very like hardcore for just being like a in the box kind of game, which is really cool. I like that kind of thing. It's like the way that I first described it when I was trying to get people to play it with me was it's like Clue, but on crack.
Yeah, it basically is. There's a lot of stuff going on in that game.
That's like it's like Lovecraft Clue, pretty much, right?
Basically, yeah. And I love Clue. Like I'm legit like love Clue, like hands down, like one of my favorite board games. As simple as fuck. Eric has proof that I've beaten Clue in what was it like?
3 turns.
Yeah, 3 turns. Everybody got around, and I was like, I know who it is.
Yep.
3 like
he was the last person to go. We all got our moves and things done. He's like, I want to make a guess. And then I looked at him like he was an idiot. And I was the idiot, actually.
And I was like, it's this, and this. And Eric's like, are you sure? That means
if you're wrong,
if you're wrong, you're out. And I was like, that's the end of the game. And I was like, I'm confident in my answer. And then I looked at it, opened the thing, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
And I never played Clue with him again.
I've never played Clue. I've got some friends that are super into Risk, like ridiculously into Risk. Like they have custom cut wooden boards with like with different types of wood as the dividers for each nation. Like they're custom maps that they've made. It's pretty crazy. Again, a game I've never played. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of that might come from like the family that you're in, the games you play growing up. We played a lot of Scrabble. We played a lot of Monopoly. Somehow my family still gets along.
They probably didn't play Risk because they wanted to stay together. Like your family wanted to be a functional unit. Yes, Scrabble and the Devil game that you mentioned. That's all about capitalism. That game is of the devil, but those games can tear people apart.
Yeah.
But Risk, oh my God.
I've never completed a game of Risk.
I love Risk so much. And I've played a lot of games, like, and I've played a few with Eric that just had never finished because we were like,
we're stuck. This is attrition.
We want to go do the sleep, and we can't until we finish this, or we could come back to tomorrow and we'd be like, with hope in our hearts, yeah, we'll come back and we'll do this tomorrow. And then
more attrition.
The next day we get up and look at the board and go, do you want to put it away?
Call a truce, world peace.
I think in our case it was my dad was afraid of foreign nations looking powerful in any way, even in a hypothetical game sense. So we weren't. That just wasn't a thing in our house.
I'll tell you a pro strat. Go to Madagascar. Put your troops on Madagascar. They'll never leave. That place is a fucking fortress. You can't enter it and you can't leave it.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Like, no joke. Every time I've ever played fucking Madagascar, whoever's on Madagascar, the luck of the rolls are with them.
Mm-hmm.
Just, all right, cool. I defended. How the fuck are you still defending Madagascar? Get off of fucking island. Stop it. Whatever you're doing, stop.
So, I take it that you guys didn't play a lot of Monopoly?
No.
That game is of the devil, Juston.
Yeah.
I have played a decent amount of Monopoly, and I've hated every second of it.
My only strategy in Monopoly is to buy up real estate so that other people can't have it.
That's Monopoly.
Wait for other people to get tired.
Yeah, basically, you just buy up property and just sit there and go, give me money and I'll give you this. Give me all your money and I'll give
buy
you.
me out so I can leave.
That's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to collect them. Nope, this is what I wanted to do. And I have something you want. It's supply and demand.
I'm just gonna buy one of each random spot. Not going to try to build hotels. I'm just going to keep you bitches from being able to do anything.
If you want to win, you have to buy me out.
A couple of funny things about Monopoly. Number one, my wife won't play it with our children, no matter how many times they ask. We have an unopened Monopoly Classic Edition on our bookshelf in the study, and she will not open it and play with the kids. She won't do it. She's like, because I want to keep loving you. Every time my son asks, she's like, because I want to keep loving you. And I'm like, it makes sense. One time when we were teenagers, me, my brother, and mutual friends, we went and stayed at my family's lake house, and played a game of Monopoly. Went late into the night. There was a lot of backstabbing and a lot of teaming up, as what usually happens in Monopoly.
Alliance.
Yep. You agree to help somebody to your benefit until it's not your benefit anymore, and then things go awry, and that's the way it works. So we were playing. I did very, very well on the course of this game. The next day, hanging out at the pier, fishing, fall asleep, and I wake up about 3.5 hours later in a inflatable boat in the middle of the lake with no shirt on a 98-degree day and no sunscreen. These guys had somehow removed my shirt while I was knocked out, put me in a boat, and pushed me out in the middle of the lake with no paddles. I had sun poisoning because of a game of Monopoly. I had to jump out of this boat and try to swim back. Yeah, I was purple, dude.
You bitch.
Exactly. They were all standing on the pier laughing at me as I tried to wade back. I'm like, why would you do this to somebody? It was just park plates.
Yeah, I've played several different versions of Monopoly too. Like, I've played the kid version, the regular version, the Star Wars version,
credit card
Mario Kart version.
There's a version that's actually designed to be actually able to be resolved, instead of people just going, no, I'm going to hold on to my properties. You can't. You're going to have to buy me out to win, and then nobody buying each other out because nobody wants to lose.
Yeah, there's one there's one that's designed to be played, started and completed in under an hour or something like that.
That's the one I'm talking about. It's literally designed that there's no way you could possibly stalemate that game.
Yeah. I kind of want to try it now.
Yeah, that would be interesting, because honestly, most of the games I've played of Monopoly have ended in count whoever has the most money and they win. Whoever has the most assets, they win. Because I'm just fucking tired of playing this game.
It's been like 6 hours. We need to stop.
I'm just fucking tired. Speaking of that one, on my brother's birthday, since we were deep into COVID at that time, it was only really like family that was there. Like his girlfriend, me, and everyone that was staying at the house currently, except for me, because I came and visited. Because, well, I mean, I'm bad. But we were playing, you know how Monopoly, like there are like, I guess, knockoff monopolies of, because I don't think they're actually licensed by like Hasbro or whatever, or Mattel, whoever the fuck does a Monopoly. But the city that we happen to live in has a monopoly of it, like with references to like local things.
Yeah, locationopoly.
Do what?
Locationopoly.
Yeah, locationopoly.
Yeah.
It was the cityopoly.
Yeah.
And we were playing, and I was being a little shady. I made some shady deals so I could benefit, but that game went on very late into the night. I think it was finally like 1 o'clock when we were all like, all right, we got to call this shit. Like, it's done. Because we were like, since it was my brother, we were just kind of like drinking a little bit since it was my brother's 21st birthday and stuff. And we were just kind of drinking, just kind of like casually sipping and just chilling, just enjoying the night and playing. And it was really late. And we were just like, all right, no one trusts Josh. They were like, no one trusts Josh anymore. And let's just count up the money. And whoever has the most assets, that's who wins. And I won by a pretty big margin.
Just about every time I've played Monopoly, at some point, whoever I play it with, I end up no longer being allowed to put my hands near the bank. Because if I act as the banker or put my hands near the banker, money will go missing.
Whenever I play with my mom and my brother, it's the same thing. Like, I'm usually the banker, but it's 3 or 4 hours in, my brother's like, "You've been stealing money this whole time. There's no other explanation." It's the way it normally works out.
I've played Monopoly too, where I ended the game in the scenario of flipping said board. It was me and several mutual friends of ours. It was, I think, like the day before New Year's Eve, or on New Year's Eve, like before actual New Year's, like before the countdown. And we got to a point, and I was just like, I'm tired of playing this fucking game. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. And they're like, do what? I'm like, I'm going to fucking do it. And they're like, what? Wait, oh no, don't. And I'm like, if you do that, you got to clean it up. I'm like, I don't care the consequences of my actions. I just fucking flip the board. I'm like, I'm done with this fucking game. I do not like Monopoly. It's like, it's just,
you get so into it. It's so weird. Like the whole lead up is, I don't want to play this game. Or
I don't want to play this fucking game.
I think
so hooked in it.
The worst part of Monopoly is there's really not a clearly defined win condition.
Yeah. You basically just have to run everybody else out of their money.
That's exactly what it is.
Conditions, but there are no win conditions really.
That's exactly what it is.
Like part of the game.
You have to be in a substantial position to where nobody has to be like completely cashed out, but you have to be in a substantial position to where nobody can make you a business deal because they simply don't benefit you. That's kind of the point you get to, where you have to be running the table to a degree where it doesn't matter what so-and-so has or what they have to offer you. Like it's not going to like the deal won't positively benefit you.
That version that we were talking about that only takes like an hour or so, it actually has a win condition. You basically set a goal to earn money towards, and first person to hit that goal wins.
Well, that's interesting.
No, nobody just like, all right, 1 mil and I cash out. Nah, hell no, that's not the way. When you roll up to play Monopoly, dude, you come dressed as Gordon Gecko, like I'm ready to do this shit. Like that's the long and short of it.
Nah,
which
if
sounds
I ever play
amazing now that I heard myself say it.
and somebody shows up looking like Gordon Gecko, or they're even dressed slightly fancy, I'm not playing with them.
We should play a fancy Monopoly game. That's what
we'll do. That'll be the first video we do for our tabletop game play session.
That'll be the last video we do for a tabletop. If we start with Monopoly,
shout out to anybody that has made it this far into the video.
3 hours later.
Hey, yeah, we're actually actively trying to work on, and have been for probably like a year and a half, make a tabletop video series, because I mean like we've been talking about this whole video, and we'll continue to talk about, we really like these games and we like D&D and stuff, and that would be pretty fun to do too, like a short campaign that we could just run through on the channel as well. But now back to our regularly scheduled program.
COVID works against us on that. We got to figure out the cameras and placement and how we're going to do the whole, there's a lot to it, but
and since we're not like that big of a channel, I mean, like we could just do basic stuff, which I mean could get us through a couple of videos, but we have ambition.
Yeah.
And well, some of us here have ambition. And like when we kind of like decide on like something that's got a bigger production, we want to try to make it have a better production. And you can have whatever opinion you want on how well we actually do that. But I mean, we try.
We do our best.
We do our best, and we do have.
Y'all do your best.
We have ambition, so we would like to like at least try to get a couple of cameras to have different angles and like stuff like that, and
which
just
right now.
Do what?
Which right now, webcams are impossible to find. They're sold out everywhere.
I wonder why.
Like we would definitely have to just use the camera, like actual cameras that we had.
Yeah.
But that would require like an actual producer behind the scenes, like, making sure the levels the batteries aren't dying and making sure everything's, but we want to do.
I would love to play a D&D game.
We want to do it justice for the channel, and like I said, we could like just kind of try out minimal settings just to like do it, to like get it out there, and then eventually work up, make it better as we go. Just like all the rest of the stuff on the channel. Like normally, our video games gameplays didn't start off the greatest looking. Our original just regular sausage tray wasn't the best. It was kind of simple, and our streams at first kind of were very simple. I mean, they're still kind of simple, but they're much better than our first like couple of streams.
Yeah, strides have been made. It's worth
strides have definitely been made on this channel for how little of a channel we are and how much of this is just coming from our effort alone. Like
round of applause for Josh real quick.
I'll accept all the praise.
I like how you continue to insist that it's all of our effort.
Yeah,
it is me. I'm you've heard it here.
I'm thankful for that. Like it's Josh. Like I bought a microphone and that's pretty much fucking it.
I've bought a microphone, a cable, and a microphone mount. That's it.
Yeah, I got the microphone. I bought the mic stands that you see behind us here, and the felt for our usual podcast table that is currently not in use. I supplied a studio of sorts when we were doing that. Yeah, I mean, so it's a lot of effort, but we're still trying to always looking to do something better, right?
Yeah. Honestly, like it's probably been like close to like 2 or 3 years that we've had the idea of like doing tabletop games on the channel, because like almost since our inception, like that has been an idea before like Justin even showed up. I know that like me, Cameron, and Maddie were like, that would be fucking hella cool. We should totally do that. And Eric's like, yeah, that would be actually pretty cool. So it's definitely something we want to bring. And, you know, like I said, this conversation is all about, you know, our love for tabletop games and pen and paper. Like
as many character outlines for D&D specifically that I just have ready to go, and as many sets of dice as I have just ready to go, I could literally the second you said roll initiative, I'd be ready to go pretty much.
Yeah, this man has made so many like mock characters and has so many sets of dice. He could literally supply all of the characters and dice for everybody for the game. Like he could be like, here's you a character, here's you a character. You might like this character, here's you a character, here's your set of dice, here's your dice.
I'm pretty sure I'm up to 9 or 10 sets of dice now, and I probably have enough character outlines started to give every person who had a set of dice at least something to go off of.
Yeah.
It was like this man's could like me and Eric could like sit down with his character outlines that he's made, and I could make like a one-shot campaign that we could literally play on the play on the channel. But you know, granted, part of D&D for me, the reason why I like pen and paper games is being able to make my own character with their backstory and abilities and stuff like that. But if we wanted to do something really quick and simple, like Eric and I could just sit down with the characters that he's designed. I could make an easy, like simple story that all of these characters could fit in. And we could be like, all right, so here are your characters, here are your dice, and just listen to Josh.
I know I don't have
questions, ask one of us.
I don't have nearly the experience with it that you guys do, but it's something I've always wanted to get into. We're on a vacation with my wife's family a couple of years ago, and one of her cousins put together a Pathfinder campaign, and he had that, right? He had a stack of 12 character sheets, right? And he had 12 sets of die, and he put them out at the table. I was like, everybody take a spot. So like we came up, sat down, and started playing that way. But he had the whole thing mapped out. He had the 12 character sheets, and he had 4 different scenarios mapped out so that we could play over the course of a couple of days or the week we were at the beach or whatever. We ended up only playing once. It went remarkably awry, which I feel bad about because part of it was my fault, even though I had a blast. I absolutely loved it.
It may have been my fault, but I may have killed the entire party, but I had a blast.
And I was being an asshole. Like I was being a funny asshole with my character. Like just pride got in my way. I rolled for initiative so I could shit on the floor of a shop and steal a bunch of merchandise, and I rolled a 20. So I took a dump on the floor of the shop, stole a bunch of shit, and then I challenged an entire inn, like a bunch of vagrants at an inn, to a drinking competition. And I beat all of them except for one, and rolled really low on that last one. I got put on my ass. But like I was really into the idea of doing it, and a lot of the family, or the other members of the family, weren't so much. They were just joining in because it was going on. And I think I made it too ridiculous for them to get invested, which I feel bad about. But I mean, on one hand, if you're DM, you kind of expect somebody to ruin your plan, and that's what I was. Yep. I was the chaos factor, and like I said, that's the only time I've ever actually done a D&D campaign, and I'd really like to, or a D&D-S campaign. It was Pathfinder, but I'd really like to do that kind of thing again. And I really hope that in future trips, if this person brings more stuff like that with us, because it was a lot of fun. But
it's just so much fun. Like I've been playing different games for like a long time now. Like I think my first real like intro to like pen and paper games was the Street Fighter pen and paper game that they have.
What?
Yeah, there's a Street Fighter pen and paper game, and it's actually really fucking fun. And I have all of the manuals, so if you want to play, we can play, and it's fucking fun.
The rules get the rules get kind of wonky, but it's pretty similar to the Fate rules in a way. They're like an older version of what the Fate rules are now. So you can kind of see similarities to them. I really like rules, so it's weird. I'm not a rules lawyer. I just like knowing the rules,
right?
And so when I know what's possible, I know what to expect.
Normally,
as a player.
Normally, if I want to play something, I'll run everything by like all the rules by Eric, so he can read everything and like so I can have a double check behind me. So if I'm like want to do something, I could be like, all right, Eric, is this possible in the rule set? Like, you understand the rules better. That we both have like gone over them, but I did more of a skimming roll, and you like you started researching. Like for real, we played Cyberpunk 2020 recently.
I want to do that so bad. Do you guys have it?
Yeah, we have the rule set for that.
Fuck, I want to play that so bad.
We have the core rule book. We don't have any of the expansions, but
yeah, the expansion or anything.
But yeah, we have Cyberpunk 2020 rule set. It's a PDF file, but we still have them. Here's our Cyberpunk character sheet.
Oh my god, I want to do that so bad. I'm download this PDF since we got.
But yeah, like I got a fucking Jones. I was like, I've always wanted to play Cyberpunk. I'm gonna try to find it because I wanted the actual manual. Because like how I talk about in our Hard to Play video games, I'm a very digital person when it comes to video games. But when it comes to D&D stuff or like pen and paper or board games, I really want a physical version. Like I have the PDF file for a bunch of like pen and paper stuff, but there's always a part of me that's like, I totally want to spend the hundreds of dollars to own all of these manuals.
To me, it's a lot easier to flip through a rule book than it is to sit there and stare at your computer screen.
Or like if you're not at a computer at the time, look through your phone or like a laptop if you have it. It is much easier to go, oh, I remember what page that's on. It's right here. All right, that's the rule I was looking for. Or like have a marker on the page itself. That's why I enjoyed like having the manuals for the Street Fighter, because if there was something I needed to look up or someone wanted to look something up, I'm like, yeah, it's in this manual and it's towards the back, and they could just whoop, there it is.
It's a much simpler premise, but you and I have had this conversation before because I talked about it with Munchkin, right? Again, this is an entry-level kind of RPG game where it's just a basic door-to-door dungeon crawler. It's nowhere near the expansive adventure you're going to have with Pathfinder, D&D, or any other tabletop. But you and I had the conversation about it can be played with just pen and paper, but I bought the deluxe edition, so it's got the table and the cards and everything that you can actually like formidably track through. And it's, I don't know, it makes sense to me to have that because it makes me feel more in control of the actual game, if that makes sense. Like it's as weird as that is, like instead of just reading off a piece of paper and writing that down, I can only imagine how much more expansive it is for something like Pathfinder or Cyberpunk or Street Fighter, the movie, the tabletop game.
I am not joking. I actually have been kind of wanting to go back and play a Street Fighter campaign because there'll just be a little bit of me that'll get a jonesing and be like, you know what, I really want to fucking play the Street Fighter RPG.
That is the wildest shit I have ever heard that existed.
That was the first one I ever fucking played. Like I didn't start on Dungeons and Dragons. Like, and it's really weird because like my stepdad, he played Dungeons and Dragons when like right at the end of his like high school career and into college, which is still wild to me because like he doesn't seem like that type of person, because he was in a fraternity and drank and went to and he basically is a frat guy, but you don't see that. But I mean, that's I guess the cool thing about D&D is like it breaks those boundaries, because
Joe
like
Manganiello, man.
John Manganiello, that muscle bound man is a fucking nerd.
He's got a D&D cave.
He's got a fucking dungeon,
and his wife Sofia Vergara serves him sandwiches and beer in his D&D dungeon. That's a fucking sentence.
That's the dream, right?
That's a pinnacle of life you never even thought was a thing, much less attainable. You know what I mean?
But I think that's one of the cool things about D&D, like because it breaks through so many boundaries and stuff. It doesn't really matter what you can be into. But like he had a couple of the manuals, and that's where some of my early dice came from, was because he had a big bag of like mixed dice and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of those came from, because he played it in high school and in college. But I never actually played D&D. But the first one that I played was Street Fighter, and it got me hooked. Surprisingly, and it was really weird how I got started playing it too.
Please tell us, Josh.
I will. I am not a religious person, or like really care about church or whatever, but I went to a church.
I'm fucking
Justin's shock reaction to a religious person or caring about church. But I got forced to go to church, but eventually I would only go because the reason why I would go is because I would go to hang out with the friends that I've made.
Yeah.
Because I knew some of them already through school, which helped. I'm not going to name drop a bunch of people that I know through church, but one of the youth counselors, he was like into like pen and paper stuff, and for one of the beach trips we went on, and we would go to like an actual beach house, and they were not very. We were supposed to be there for like worship, but they were never for worship.
Playing laser tag in the name of Jesus Christ. That's exactly what church was like.
Yeah, roll for initiative for Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Like legit, like what we were supposed to like have like these like little not prayer session, but like we were supposed to have like these little like devotions or whatever at the end of the night, where we each like got into pairs and like made a scenario and basically gave like a sermon and like did it on a topic or whatever, and they were supposed to be about faith and bullshit. But like one time, some of the people that went to my church too, Justin, because of the high school that you went to. One of the older brother, he and I partner up, and I'll tell you after.
Yeah, after this is over.
We partnered up on one of the things, and we did like a whole devotion like lesson, and we focused it around Incubus, the band. So if that helps you realize how
it's brilliant,
close to this we were actually being. But for a couple of years when we would do it, the counselor would bring his Street Fighter stuff, and I was really curious because a couple of them had like played it before they had played a couple of rounds and scenarios before I got into it, because a couple of them actually lived near the counselor, or the youth minister, whatever you want to call him. They lived near him, so that was easy to like go to his house and play these games. And so I got into it, and I was like, how do you do this? And they taught me the rules, and I kind of like watched them play a little bit, and I was like, well, this is fun. I mean, I like Street Fighter, and I like looked through all the things that you could do. Like you can like make some like crazy like characters in with the rule set, but like not from the beginning. Like you can eventually get your character to be insane,
or you can spam joint lock.
Yeah, there are some moves that you can kind of spam and basically just shut your opponent out. It's great. But like, and they like take like whoever wrote the rules for it like must really like Street Fighter, because they like implemented some of the like Street Fighter like I guess mechanics and like powers and stuff into the set, and like it's really interesting. It's a lot to get into.
So are you character locked for the roster from Street Fighter?
Do what?
Like the character, can you actually role play an organic and create character, or
you can create your own character. Mm-hmm. Then that's one of the cool things. Like you can make it like there's different like subtypes too. There's like a mutant, cyborg, like a meta human, or like a not meta. They're like an animal human hybrid, stuff like that. And it's just a bunch of crazy different things, and there's different martial art styles that you can take on, and like with each different martial art styles you can take, that opens up different abilities and powers and stuff that you can get into, and it's really crazy. And I think they have, if you want to, I'm pretty sure it's like in the back of the book, they have all of the main characters from 2 as characters you can play if you just want to use their stats. You can just be like, oh, I'm playing Ryu. Or if you want to like have Ryu in your game, like Ryu's in our game now. But anytime I've ever played it, it's been our own custom characters that we've made, that the DM has made, that I've made when I've ever DM'd the game. But that was the first time I got into a pen and paper game like that, and I had a blast. And my first character, since I really didn't know I didn't really know much about, like, I guess pen and paper games in general. I really didn't know that there are DMs that are differ from each other, and how strict to rules or how strict to lore they are. How, like, hey, you have to tell me exactly everything you did on your turn, or that you are going to do this day, or you didn't do it. I didn't know things like that. So I was when I was making my character, I was just trying to make a badass, edgy guy. He had like a fucking like a big kukri, and he had a falcon for a pet. I'm like, hell yeah, this dude's badass. And the first thing is we went to this tournament, like held by this really rich guy.
Tekken tournament, obviously.
Do what?
The Tekken tournament, obviously.
Yeah, Hayachi. We were going to Hayachi's tournament. No, it was some really like fancy tournament at this guy's mansion, and I didn't say that I brought my falcon with me, or ever mentioned that the falcon was with me in any of the scenarios. And at one point, I was like, "All right, yeah," and I send my falcon pet out to go scout something for me, and the DM's like, "You've never said that he was with you. You never said that you brought him. You just said you had him." And I was like, so he's all alone at home by himself? And he's like, yeah, because you didn't tell me you brought him. And I'm like, so my bird's going to die by the time I get back, right? And he's like, most likely. And I was like, son of a bitch. So it has helped, like, I guess, as a DM myself, kind of guide me into how I DM. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not going to be too much of a stickler. If you have a pet and you don't tell me your pet's near you, I'm just going to assume you have it because it's your pet. You don't have to, like, you know.
You're going to use common sense.
Well, I mean, I get it. Some people are very strict with like how they DM. Like, you got to tell me. He was one of the people that are like took the lore and like what you said seriously. So if you said, you know, I decided to kiss this person, and you're like, all right, well, you're going to kiss him. I'm going to need you to roll for something. I'm like, I'm joking. I'm not really going to do that. Are you you said you were doing it, so I'm going to need you to roll for that.
Your character's doing it now. Yeah.
Your character's doing it now. Because I had a scenario like that too, where I made myself black out. Because I was trying to like flirt with one of the competitors there, who was a female, and I decided to say I think it was like they had like, this is like a huge mansion or whatever, so it had like this Olympic sized pool. It was like gold trimmed and everything, and I was like, I'm gonna be like a slick badass and like slide across the floor up to her and be like, what's up, baby? And I rolled not good. And so I rolled into the wall, and I got unconscious, and I didn't wake up to the next day, and almost missed my fight. And that was
done. Well done.
And that was really real smooth.
And that's why less is more.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna like fucking just kind of like run and slide over there and like be all like, what's up? What's going on? Under DMs like, what's up? Except I slid into the wall, got a concussion, and didn't wake up till the next day, and almost missed my fight. I was like, are you fucking serious? Damn it. But yeah, we have to play Street Fighter. I've played it a couple times after that with I think I played it with Cameron and Eric. I played it with Eric and an ex-girlfriend and Cameron for a little bit, and just me and Eric have tried a campaign before. But yeah, it's really fun. Like it's also very strange to try to like ask people to play it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no Street Fighter RPG. I'm like, oh no, it's a pen and paper. What? How you gonna play Street Fighter with pen and paper?
With your mind.
I'm down to try it. That sounds awesome. Like I said,
hell yeah, I'll play Street Fighter with you. This ain't Street Fighter. Like, you gotta use your imaginations to play this one.
Like I said, I mean, I'm down. I've wanted to get further into tabletop RPGs and like pen and paper games for a long time, and I think it's kind of cool. I've been invited to so many D&D nights that just didn't pan out for whatever reason. But
that's always the worst. Like trying to like plan one and just it never actually going through because everybody gets like too busy or whatever, or like actually finally getting a big group together. Like that has happened to us. We got a big group of people together, and I'd like worked on a campaign. I made a map, and I made like an intricate, like I started like making an intricate story that had like lore about the world. Like I wrote up like basically a story, like a legit book basically on lore, and I made a new race of people because Pathfinder didn't quite have the race I was looking for. So I was like, I'm gonna homebrew my own race to get the race that I want to look for.
We spent a lot of time poring over like resources for that.
Yeah, and like making the world, like I made up a map and we named all of the different continents and cities inside of continents, and like we did a lot of work and we played one game.
And then nobody had free time.
And no one had free time after that. And I was like, man, that sucks. That was a lot of time wasted.
A lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got invited to join a D&D game a few months ago. But unfortunately it was like I was invited the week before or like the week of Neo 2 release. So I was like, yeah, it's not going to work for me. Pretty much the only thing I'm going to be doing in my free time is playing Neo 2. So I'd love to. I really would, but I just won't have time.
Yeah. I know I'm on Humble Bundle. Like I have the Humble Choice every month, and I go on there and I look at the bundles that they have pushed up. But one of the things that you see very frequently on there, at least like every other month, is tabletop games, like the books and rule sets and everything, character like pre-drafted character sheets, in a bundle for like $15. Like pay $1 or up to $15
Yeah. I think I've seen at least one. Like I used to check Humble a whole lot more than I do, but I know I've seen it once. I'm kind of, I guess, disappointed that I didn't take advantage of it because I don't think it. I think it may have been some of Pathfinder that they had, and I was like, I mean,
I've seen at least 4 Pathfinder bundles. Like they do Pathfinder a lot on Humble Bundle. Not sure why, but they do.
I mean, it's popular, and it's not like it's to me. Pathfinder seems more like friendly to making whatever you want with it, whereas like D&D kind of like to me feels like you kind of need to be in more of a fantasy setting. It has the ability to reach out of that, but like Pathfinder's like, nah man, do whatever the fuck you want, we don't care. The only thing that we care about are characters and combat systems. We don't really.
It helps that Pathfinder is technically a spinoff of D&D 3rd edition, or 3rd and 4th kind of, which had so many rules in them that you could literally just adapt those rules to anything you wanted, because there was literally a rule for any scenario you could possibly think of.
There's a lot of really cool ones that I see go up. Next time I see one, I'll shoot a message over to you, because like I said, I check Humble Bundle way too often because the shit doesn't change. Like the bundles don't change as often as I check that website, as weird as that is. But yeah, next time I see one, I'll shoot one over to you. They haven't done Cyberpunk like straight out, but they've had steampunk and cyberpunk-esque like our campaigns on there and games on there that are different, because there's a lot of things that I don't want to say that pool is oversaturated. I'm certain that it is. I just don't know enough about it to say that it is. But there are a lot of other campaigns and games that I've never heard of that go up on there for at least rule sets and things like that. And I mean, hell, for less than $20 for an entire investment into all that material, maybe it's worth something checking out. So
I mean, depending on what it is, because like obviously you can get some stuff for free, but like if you wanted like a hardcover, like an actual version of like 2020, because I was looking it up and they're pretty damn expensive with that if you're not looking for the reprint, because I was like, there was like a discussion about reprint versus original, and like reprint there's like weird like errors like in like the printing for some reason, so like some of the pages look weird, or it's like some of the words are like printed strangely, like just because of the mass reprint that they did. So I was like, I kind of want an actual like original version so I can get that, and those are really expensive.
I wonder why.
But you can
a lot of attention's been brought over to that.
You can obviously yeah, I assume when the Cyberpunk game started hitting its stride, those got gone real quick.
Yeah.
Because there's actually a companion piece to the game. It's called Cyberpunk Red. And it takes place in between 2020 and 77. It's designed by both CD Projekt Red and the original creators of Cyberpunk, and it kind of like bridges the gap between 2020 and 77. And I would like that one, but it's one of like the all-in box kind of ones.
Yeah,
I think it has the ability to have that and to create your own stuff with it, but it comes with like pre-made characters and like dice and stuff, so it's like a out of the box, you can go ahead and like start DMing a game with some of your friends. But I assume the core book still has like the rule set, so if you wanted to be like, psych, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want because now I know your rule set.
Right.
So but I think it's like $40, so it wasn't that bad, but I found actual Cyberpunk 2020 PDF file. I'm like, psych, that's what I want instead. It may not be the book, but I want to play Cyberpunk 2020.
Right.
And the cool thing about Cyberpunk is there's not really that many official like expansions. Most of them are like fan made or like third party expansions that are like canon because they fixed things and people just like, yeah, we wanted to continue playing Cyberpunk, but they never really made any more expansions to it, so we're making these to fix some of the rules that are broken or don't quite work right. Because when we were like researching like rules and stuff, there were certain things like while we were reading like, this doesn't quite make sense, and we'd find like forums about people talking about, oh well, in this expansion, I'm like, oh, but that's not actually that's not like
it's not first party,
that's not an official there's expansion, but I mean some of those rules actually make a little sense, so maybe we might adopt those instead.
There's a for the 2020 rules, there's actually like a whole third party overhaul to it where they basically
like
just
a mod patch.
It's essentially an unofficial patch for the 2020
for
rules.
a pen and paper game.
And it essentially just kind of condenses everything and makes everything more uniform and universal, as opposed to it sometimes feeling like there was a completely different rule set they used for different mechanics.
But yeah, like the few days that we played it in the apartment during lockdown, I think it was when he the quarantine or the COVID affected his job and he got furloughed or whatever. I think that's when we started playing it, because there was a bunch of time that he wasn't at work. So we're like, let's try it 1 week. We're gonna, sit down, make our characters, talk about the rules and explain it. And like throughout the week, we, went over all the rules with each other and talked about it, made our characters, and I kind of like made up my story as the week went, and I came up with ideas to what I wanted to do, and then by Friday, we started playing, and that whole weekend we played all weekend long, and it was fun as fuck.
That's pretty awesome.
Days in, we realized we had some of the rules wrong about character creation, and it was too late to fix them, so we just had OP characters.
Yep,
that's it, man.
2 of us had OP characters because T and I went melee route and like fist fighting melee route, and some of the rules for that are kind of broken. Like
they're very kind of broken.
They're kind of broken, and also if you don't quite pay attention to the skill setup like you're supposed to do at the beginning, you can accidentally go, well, I'm just starting with these skills. I should be able to this is the amount of points I should put into it, not like it is if I'm getting the skill for the first time after I've made my character.
And you turn into Cyberpunk One Punch Man.
Yep. Because T basically went almost to cyber psychosis with all of the implants he did for his arms and stuff. So he had all of this extra shielding and armor on his arms, so that gave him extra damage. Plus he had some ability, he had proficiency in boxing. So when he punched someone, they pretty much died.
Yeah, he pretty much bloody messed everybody.
And then my character, I didn't have as many. I only had one arm that was like that. I was playing a rocker boy, and so he had I went with more aesthetics thing, because that's one of the cool things about Cyberpunk is it's not just about having a strong character. It's about looking cool and being a badass. And if you may not necessarily do much in combat, but if you look sweet, you're still awesome in the Cyberpunk's mind, which is really cool. So I had the gold arm with a light tattoo on it. I think I had light tattoos other places, and I had a gold plated arm, and I knew my character knows
Chorley foot.
Yeah, a Chinese martial arts, and it's more about strikes and stuff. Watch me mimic.
Now watch me nene.
But
goodbye, everybody.
At first, I was I'm gonna be I custom made a weapon too. Since he's a rocker boy, his main weapon is a keytar, but the keytar has different modes that it can turn into. It's got a taser on it, a little electric taser that shoots little electric bolts out. It can turn into a axe and a flamethrower. And so I was well, I'm gonna use that because that thing, I made this, so I'm gonna use it. And the first fight we got into, I also had a little compact SMG just in case. And
in case the fucking keytar weapon didn't do it.
Just in case the keytar didn't work. And the first combat we had, I used the SMG and it did fuck all to anybody. And I was well, that sucks. I'm not ever gonna use that again. And then I used my keytar, and it kind of worked. The flamethrower works the most. But then I decided to use my arm and obliterated someone and a hit. And I was okay, so I'm never not gonna melee. I'm never not gonna fist fight anybody ever again. That's the only weapon I need anymore because it's powerful as shit.
And I played a pretty much unmodified person who used a sword, and I was fucking untouchable, but I couldn't really do any damage.
Yeah, it was great. Me and T could kill anybody in one hit, and Eric couldn't get hit at all.
I couldn't get hit at all, and I basically didn't need to roll for initiative because there was not a character Josh had made yet
that was fast enough.
That could roll higher than my lowest initiative roll.
Without at just his base initiative, without actually having to roll. No character that I had that was we were fighting was fast enough. So Eric always went first. And normally I would go. We would after that it'd be a mix up between the opponents and me and T. But yeah, Eric always went fucking first, no matter what, because he was that fucking fast. But it was hilarious because in our first combat, if it would have played out, it was Eric just flashes over to an enemy and goes, nothing personal, kid. Doesn't really do much to him. Then that guy tries to attack him.
then they get obliterated.
doesn't do anything to Eric, and then T goes and murders someone. Then I go and then I murder someone,
and I'm just sitting there like blinking around the battlefield, keeping everyone distracted.
Eric's just got up blinking around and got
fucking aggroing people,
and I just turn people into fucking mist. There was one I legit like the attack that I used was like a downward strike, and because I rolled so well and did so much damage to him, I got to say how I killed him. So I just cut this bitch in half. So like it was great. Cyberpunk's great. Everyone should play that RPG. Everyone should play that pen and paper game. It's amazing.
It's confusing and wonky and really old feeling.
Yeah,
but it's fun.
It feels old as shit, but it's fun as shit. Like
I want to play it.
Street Fighter has the same problem. It kind of feels old and clunky, but it's fun as shit, especially if you make a fast character, because how their initiative works is the slowest person gets to go first. But if you're faster than them, you can interrupt them in any time of combat.
They can make an attack.
They could be
if their attack isn't instant, you can interrupt them mid-attack.
Yeah, so they're like, all right, I'm throwing a punch. You're like, psych, I'm faster than you. I'll fucking put you in a headlock and choke you out. What? Yep, I'm gonna roll. All right, cool. I got more positives than negatives, and that's that much damage. And all right, cool. So yeah, you're in a headlock now, and I just did like 5 damage to you. Good luck getting out of it, because I got a pretty good hold.
I remember the specific quote from the rule book about initiative from that, where as an example, it gave somebody does a flying sidekick. If you're faster than them, you can choose to wait until they actually execute the flying kick and catch them in midair.
They flying kick you. They're flying kick you, but since you're faster, you just like, nope, get down.
Just go away.
Fuck you.
Friggin' anti-airs in an RPG.
Yeah, I think that's why they did that, because like there are certain characters in Street Fighter. If you're in the middle of a move, they can just grab you out of it. Like, I don't think so, buddy. And there's so many good like moves. Like one of my go-to moves for one of the enemies we fought, he liked biting people, and he was fast, so he would just wait for I would just wait for that character for you to go, like Eric or Cameron or whoever we were playing with at the time, to go before him. And then I'm like, psych, he's faster than you. And as you try to punch him, he just fucking bites you. He just bites your fist. And that does a lot of damage, because he has like metal teeth, because he's like a cyborg. And roll for that.
Needless to say, I wanted to kill that character.
This is pretty great. I'm going to look into some more like tabletop stuff. And I definitely want to play Street Fighter and Cyberpunk after hearing about this. I can't believe Street Fighter tabletop is
I'm going to have to go find those books. I think they're at my parents' house somewhere. But yeah, I'm going to have to go find them with all the other RPG shit I have. Because Cameron and I, unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight. He was going to, he wanted to come and do the podcast with us, but he's busy with life and stuff. So he couldn't join us for this Zoom call. But one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on, because he's played different games. Like I think like when we were in high school, when he went to Career Center, he had a couple of friends from Japanese that like play Warhammer, and he played with them. So he's been into that.
That is a rules heavy game.
He's been into that world.
It's another one that comes up on Humble Bundle a lot.
So it would have been nice to hear his perspective on like that kind of game, where figurines are like heavy influence into the game that you're playing. And so are the heavy ass D20 rolls for that game. But he and I actually created a pen and paper game together. It's not super complicated, and it takes inspiration from other games that we've played, but he and I, Eric helped a little bit too, but the main focus was Cameron and I, because like he even like made the character sheets for me and stuff. I have a few laying around somewhere, but we made a One Piece pen and paper game, and it was always one of my favorite ones to play, just because since I made it, I knew how the rule set worked, and I love One Piece, and I know pretty much everything about that manga and the lore about it. So I was like, all right, well, I pretty much know how the mechanics of the world work, so I think it should be easy to turn that into some sort of pen and paper game And it was always a blast to play because I always had fun making new characters and using different devil fruits and abilities and stuff. I don't want to speak for him, but I know Eric's made a couple of characters that he's enjoyed that we still like remember to this day.
Still, my favorite one is the lizard man with heat powers.
Yeah, that one was a really cool he made a lizard guy with heat powers. That's cool. But yeah, it was just one day, I think we were like juniors or seniors, and we wanted to play a pen and paper game, but I think we didn't want to play Street Fighter because that was the only thing I had like rules for. Or like we played Street Fighter recently and kind of want to play something else. And One Piece is my favorite manga. It's what really got me into reading manga. So we're like, let's base something around that. Let's like look on the internet, see if anybody's got any kind of like rule sets or anything. I think we found some on some like weird ass forums and stuff. Like
what's really funny about the rules and everything that you guys ended up with is much later when I started looking into the fate system. You guys got real close. You so close.
We got real close to making the fate system. But yeah, I still have a bunch of character sheets and like notebooks of like story and like characters that I was making them fight against. I don't know, I love that shit so much.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorite parts about like pen and paper games is like I've always been the DM. I don't know why I would like to not always be the DM. Like sometimes I like insert myself because I like to play too.
So yeah, One Piece.
Yeah, One Piece.
Sorry, folks.
But yeah, I really I've always done in our group because I've been the one to initiate like, hey, let's pen and paper or something. So that means that since I initiated it, it's my job to be DM.
Yep. Well, you chose your own path. So
I mean, true, but
you'll never not be on that path.
But I mean, it's cool because I really like doing that. I like making characters and lore and like worlds and stuff because I just enjoy doing that in general because my brain is fucking on crack 24/7. So it's really easy to think of a story like that.
And I can bulldoze out characters like nobody's business.
And Eric's got the proof. He's got like 50 characters ready to go. But and I just enjoy lore building too. So but yeah, when I was making the One Piece game with Cameron, we played it a bunch. But since I like to play too, I'd always like insert myself and make a character to play along and try not to be the focus. It'd be like, you guys don't let my character point you into the direction all the time. You guys get to make the decisions.
Ultimate metagaming. We literally have plot armor.
I know I have a character that I created in the fray with you guys, but remember, it's your game. I'm just here to watch. I don't want to make all the decisions for you. Don't make my character go, hey, we should probably go this way, guys.
Right.
Captain. He makes all the decisions now.
He runs the whole thing. He plays everybody else's characters and the whole night.
All right, you're obviously not doing well enough. Like
you're not taking this seriously.
It dissolves and it's just Josh in a padded room talking to himself.
One of the cool things about the One Piece one, like later on, like because we like revised it a couple times, and I think like the second time we revised it, we were like, One Piece has ships and the ocean. We should implement the fact that you're on a ship and we're in the ocean. So we bought some maps or I think we actually got them for free. We went to one of the local comic book shops and like, hey, do you have any maps like this? And they're like, yeah, sure. And we're like, no one buys these really. So if you just want them, you can have them. I'm like, okay, cool. That's good for me. But they were like these maps for like some weird, like, like World War II like figurine game. And what they would do at that comic shop was when they would get like big bundles and stuff, they'd break them down so they could sell the figurines individually. So they just had a bunch of free maps and stuff that they normally would give away if you asked for them, or if you bought if you wanted a bunch, I think they would ask for some money. But we bought a couple of like water maps, and we started using that and like decided, hey, we should actually try to make the boats and the systems, and like getting to the next island should actually have mechanical parts to it. And one of my favorite moments from that series was they were on their way to the next island, Cameron and Eric, and this is one that they were doing most of the driving for. But I think Eric remembers what I'm about to mention. The look on his face speaks 1,000 words. But they found a boat. It was an abandoned boat just out on the sea, and it had a puzzle to it. And Eric, take it away.
So I don't remember the exact riddle / puzzle that he creates, but it was a fairly in-depth puzzle. It was kind of like the one of us is a liar, one of us is telling the truth kind of things, but he added some extra steps to it to make it unique and not something I would already have been exposed to. So I'm kind of, troubleshooting my way through this, asking yes and no answers and that kind of thing. And then he realizes, oh shit, he's figuring this out way quicker than I wanted him to. So he changes the goalpost halfway through the puzzle. And I could pinpoint the exact moment he changed the goalpost, because I started asking questions based on the stuff I already knew. And all of a sudden, my expectations got reversed. And I'm like, hang on a did you change the win condition?
Like, no, it's always been this.
Are you sure? Because
yes, there was always a third piece of this puzzle that you never saw from the beginning, and until it's revealed itself now, at this very moment, you never knew about it. Trust me, I designed this myself.
You changed the win condition, didn't you?
I'm not frustrated that you figured this out. I was hoping you and Cameron would slowly gather this information like over the time of being on this ship.
Luckily,
not Eric just kind of walk around and just start asking all these questions while Cameron's really focused on this one object, and Eric going, it's not that. I'm going to keep asking these questions.
Luckily,
I was like, oh no.
Luckily, Cameron very, very wisely, no offense to Cameron, but luckily Cameron very wisely removed himself from the troubleshooting process.
But yeah, I totally have changed the puzzle up on them. In the middle.
It made me excited for you to be DM on anything now.
I got real frustrated. I was
bastard.
like, no, I had this. I was working up to a thing. I just didn't want to jump to conclusions, and I was just working up to this thing, and now it's all wrong. Something's fucky.
Something's been fucky. And it's pretty cool because that rule set that Cameron and I designed like kind of lended itself to like being interpreted through other things. Like I know Eric and I just randomly, when we lived across the hall from where we live now, just kind of wanted to RP, but we didn't want to like be too long or be too developed, but we didn't really want to do anything related to One Piece. So I was like, I wonder if we can use these same mechanics and just apply another skin.
Turns out you can.
So we just made like a demon hunting like themed RPG just on the spot, because I was like, yeah, this lends itself really easy to being. Well, that's because me and Cameron made the Fate system, so of course it was easy just turn it to that.
Copy and paste it over.
The Fate system was literally designed so that you could go, I want to play this theme and aesthetic. Okay, the rules still work.
The rules still work.
I'll just change some of these words.
But yeah, so there was fuck. I was gonna say something about the One Piece thing, but I remember our random demon hunter one. Oh, I was gonna mention not about One Piece. I was gonna mention about how I normally DM and I like to insert myself because I like to play as well. I don't like to miss out on all the fun of being able to make a character and play that character too and see where the story takes us. So when we did the Cyberpunk 2020 character, I made a character, but I inserted myself into the game, but I made him more of a plot part than actually part of their team. So it was more like this character is an NPC that I'm playing. Because when we stopped, the last part they were doing, they were looking for my character. So it was like a nice way for me to like have a character that I could do combat with. That was my character that I have personal stake in. And I've always played fairly. If I roll bad, I roll bad, and I don't hit my character. I don't hit because that's part of the fun of playing the game. But when I do hit with that character, I kill people, so it's still nice.
I do approve of the DM completely fudging dice rolls because it makes good story.
But like I really enjoyed that. Like, so sometimes I will try to do that instead of just being like, "Hey, I'm a character and it's gonna be your beacon." Like that one was more like, "Hey, this character's with you guys and it's gonna kind of tie you guys together and give you like a drive to make you want to work together." And then he's going to go missing and you're going to have to go find him. So it was really nice. So I got to back away from technically playing my character and let them do all of the driving, which was pretty fun.
It's like you can be a DM and not have heavy-handed involvement in the story. And because that would be I feel like, and again, speaking out like without a lot of experience, I feel like that might be one of the difficult things to play a functional character and not make accidentally biased choices for like the development of the story. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because certain things you do could push things in one direction or the other. So to just be DM and take yourself as a proactive character out of that equation and let your friends kind of develop and go through the story that you had in motion for them organically, I feel like that would having like an NPC character probably the best way to do that. But
yeah, and that's kind of what I focused on for that one. I was like, I want a character that I could play because I really want to play Cyberpunk. I want to get into the character creation and the cybernetics aspect and like making a character that I've made a story about and have that character. But I was like, I don't want to necessarily be the main focus because sometimes when I do play, not that I'm trying to like be the attention, but I'm trying to like get them to go like, hey, let's do the story that I've made. So
exactly.
Like, but I want people to make their own decisions. So like I slowly kind of like worked my character away from them. So that way they would try to make more of their own decisions on their own. Which was nice.
Take yourself out of it. That's good.
We've also, me and Cameron and Eric also painstakingly tried to do a Fallout RP.
Those rules
are very complicated because we were trying to like use the game, like the original game, like mechanics. Oh boy.
But I will say that we did find some actual existing RPG rules for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I basically hand drew character sheets for us. It would look like Pit Boys for us.
Yeah, it's really cool to have some of those character sheets lying around because we like copied and like printed them off so we could still have them. It was really cool. But yeah, that one was really fucking like in depth, like way more in depth than any of us were ready for.
I think that was the first time I ever got a migraine because I deep dived into the rules because like I need to come up with a design for this character sheet because character sheets don't exist for that rule set for some reason. So I was like, I need to come up with a design that makes sense. Try to make it after the Pit Boy, but I got to find all the places that the information would be. So I had to pour over all of the important and necessary mechanics that you would need to keep track of, and then fit them into a Pit Boy like character sheet display. And boy, did my head hurt.
Yeah, I just like I know that we been spending a lot of time on like actual pen and paper at this point, but there's a lot of them, and there's been as we're talking, like I keep remembering, oh shit, we totally like spent a day trying to work out a Gundam RP, like where we had like pilot stats and the Gundam stats, and we're like trying to work out like how would this work, and like we spent a whole day like going, all right, time to create a a rule set that could let us play Gundam. There was one. There's been like so many like that where we just get there was one where we were trying to do a Star Wars one where it was like, let's just decide to make a Star Wars. Like, what would the rule set for that be, and how would we do that? But yeah, there's just been so many like things that we like that we're like, can this be an RPG? Is there already a pen and paper set for this? If not,
generally the answer is
we're gonna do.
Generally the answer is yes. There is a rule set that exists.
Yep.
Just how invested in finding it are you?
Yeah, there's got to be something out there for pretty much everything at this point.
Star Wars pen and paper, but I have literally never seen a rule book or a PDF file for it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got to exist somewhere on the internet, right?
Yeah,
like,
there's got to be.
Yeah, there's got to be something. But
I know people that have played the Star Wars pen and paper.
If there's a fandom for it, there has to be a role playing element for it, like somewhere. And that's a cool thing. It's just one more level of investment and interest in things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fact that, you know, the whole fandom of different medias have probably tried to turn something into a pen and paper at some point. But it's really cool because when I get those urges to be like, I wonder if this has a pen and paper. If not, let's try to make some. I like that aspect of being able to create my own game out of something. So I really like Fiasco because it lends itself really well to being that. Like, it's definitely like an actor / writing tool, basically. But Fiasco is cool because you basically just have a prompt and you can go wherever the fuck you want to with it. It's really cool. If you don't know much about Fiasco, we're gonna have to play Fiasco with you one time too.
I'll check it out.
We've had a bunch of fun Fiasco games, some really fucking weird ones.
All right, so I need to see Street Fighter. I need to see this One Piece one, and need to play Cyberpunk. Need to see Fiasco, and I'm gonna call it right here. Just pulling something out of thin air. We need to do a Gravity Falls tabletop.
There we go.
Because that shit is awesome. That chaos is the whole game, the whole show. So it's like wildly unpredictable. This has been good. This has been a lot of fun. I'm excited for the things that we get to see and try over the foreseeable future and unforeseeable future. So, any thoughts before we get to a closing point? Anything else?
I just want to say, like,
what was it?
What?
Sorry, what?
What?
I was just trying to say. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Just find out. I guess any like final thoughts would be like, you know, I'm obviously going to try to find the things that we've made to show you. So I'm like, hey, see, here's that Street Fighter thing I was talking about. Weird, isn't it?
It's really weird.
Some of the One Piece shit. Some of the other stuff is probably lost to time, but I know for a fact I should have One Piece. I mean, Cyberpunk, I just showed you. The One Piece stuff should be somewhere. And Fiasco, I have it on a hard drive because they're books, basically. With like, there's like an overarching like rule set, but then you can literally put it into like any kind of like narrative arc. And it's really neat because it's not really necessarily pen and paper, but like I said, it's more of like a writing / acting kind of like tool. But it works really well since I like both acting and writing.
Yeah.
But hopefully these are some of like my main point is hopefully some of these things that we talked about, we can actually show other people by putting out our tabletop series whenever we can finally get stuff like that together. Cause it's not just board games we want to do with it. We want to also, you know, take a dip into having a dedicated campaign since the roommates gaming crew already are really close knit and we all have enjoyment for like that type of media. So it'd be really nice to be like, hey, this is us actually playing some of this together.
Man, that'd be nice. We could actually do things together. actually play and interface together. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, it would be really fun and like record it and be like, all right, here are our weird ass adventure.
Now, just
Here's
for
our group of 5 edgelords and 1 outgoing person.
So for all of our listeners and viewers, what's actually going to happen is we're going to talk about this planet, have difficulty getting together. It'll take us months to actually establish a firm date where we can all get together and try this. And it's not going to happen when we get together. We're going to stand in a circle in somebody's kitchen and just talk for 4 fucking hours. So never actually start playing.
That sounds about right.
So what you're saying is your regular tabletop party.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just the average tabletop experience.
As long as Maddie makes breakfast for dinner, I mean, we're on par. I mean, everything's just going to work the way it's supposed to, right? Eric, closing thoughts for the week.
I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts. I mean, I'm not a thinking person.
It's good for tabletop pen and paper
I'm a
games.
Doing person. I'm about action. That's not true.
He's a go-getter. He's a doer, not a.
That's not true. I'm sedentary.
He's pretty content.
To borrow the catchphrase of Will Wheaton on tabletop, my closing thoughts would be play more games, not just Monopoly, not just Uno, not video games. Play more D&D, play more Pathfinder, play more Munchkin, play more
monikers, play more
wavelengths, Scrawl. Just the games that force you to actually do something else and be someone else.
Yeah, which is remarkably fun. Just get out there and do different things with your friends and family for once instead of the games that you're super familiar with.
Yeah. I do enjoy doing that, as like being able to because when I brought over those 2 games, I wasn't sure how my family would actually like monikers or wavelength, and the fact that we pretty much played them for the rest of the day after I told them about it and we started playing, like legit, we played them all the way up until we got we got dinner, and then until the time I left. I'm legit played them all day, and I was really surprised how long we did that.
I'm looking for an excuse to have people together for any reason, and which is difficult right now. But I'm looking for an excuse to have people together just so I can pull out the moniker set that I ordered.
Yeah, those games that force you out of your shell, and just you have to be. You have to understand that you're going to feel embarrassed and shy about it, but it's also going to be really, really exhilarating and fun to do. Just, like for monikers, read a card and go, oh God, what am I even going to do for this? And then end up charading like
how do I charade brick and washing machine on trampoline?
Yep. How do I put this into so many words? How do I summarize this with one word? And how do I act this out?
And then everyone really just being amused and excited that we have to all be this creative and outgoing and whatnot. It's just a great experience. Everyone should do it.
It really is like for the most part, the people that were with us that night were pretty. I would consider myself pretty close with pretty much everybody there, except for one person who I'm not around a lot. Which I had a lot of fun getting to know that person, talking to that person, and that game was a really cool boundary break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think having things like that, especially when you have people that aren't 100% familiar with each other around, it's a really great way to break ice, get to know people without that awkward silence. Jackbox has done that for us a lot as far as like, here's somebody you absolutely do not know or interface with a lot
on Twitch. Like, I have no idea who the fuck this person is, but hey, we're getting to know them through their answers and what they're saying in chat. So
there's no social awkwardness or anything here. It's just like
sometimes they
oh boy
want to make fanfics of T and I.
Yep.
Yeah. As someone who doesn't particularly want to interact with people that much, it's a lot of fun having some kind of game like a Jackbox game or even just like Cards Against Humanity.
Yep. That one will do
as like a vehicle to force myself to be interactive with other people, especially people I'm not that familiar with. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Cards has definitely done that. I've played Cards at many different people's parties with people I have no idea, and Cards really let you know what kind of
Oh yeah.
personality and humor you have.
Oh yeah.
When you put that first dark humor card down and everybody's like,
Yep.
what?
Yep.
And you're like, okay, cool. So I can be weird as fuck now.
Yep.
Now that they know that was my card.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And I won that. So, all right, time to let all my fucking weirdness out,
Yeah.
baby.
Once you break the dice and you feel comfortable being weird, it's a whole different experience.
And at the end of the night, you leave those people that you don't know, and months later at another social gathering, you'll see them, and it's like they're old friends. Like, what's up, dude? Like, you just right back to it. That's what I like. Those are the games that I like. Those little party games that'll break the ice and things like that. And you can ask my wife. I sit on the couch sometimes just like browsing through Amazon, like, this looks fun, or browsing through Kickstarter. Like, this seems cool. This is an idea that's new and original. I'll give these guys $20 and see what happens. Like, I do that shit all the time. Probably more than I need to, but yeah, it's fun. Games are fun things, not just video games, but games in general are fun things to help people break ice and bring people together. And you're right, you learn a lot of about people, and it gives you a sense of confidence. You're like, I know I'm fucking weird, and I'm really kind of nervous about how my weirdness is gonna fit in with these people. But all it takes is that one bomb drop, and everybody giggles to themselves a little bit, like, all right, cool, I'm in, we're good. Like, I don't have to worry anymore.
I'm in.
Yep.
Sometimes it's 2 bombs that drop.
Yep.
Oh, God. Damn it. All right, yeah. So if you want to comment, share, and subscribe on this video, check out all the descriptions in the description. All of the links are in the description. Go to our Discord. Ignore Eric. Anything he's ever said in his entire life. Don't listen to him. But yeah,
Follow me on Twitter.
Follow him on Twitter if you want to, berate him with what he just said.
My DMs are open. You can say whatever you want to me.
That needs to be a Christmas video from the channel. Is just a gift, a super cut of all the fucked up things Eric has said, like over the last couple of years.
Just a bunch of Eric beep beep.
Yeah,
beep, beep.
Exactly.
If you want the YouTube channel just completely erased from history, that would be a great video to do it with.
Was it Mario Tennis that we all just like got stunned?
You all railroaded me and put words in my mouth? Yeah.
No, we did not. We're going to end this before. We need to shut this down before this kicks off, because we did not. Check us out on YouTube and Instagram and join the Discord. Join us next week for Hard at Play.
But seriously, follow me on Twitter.
Yes, follow Eric on Twitter. He doesn't tweet that much.
Don't follow me or Justin.
No,
specifically.
I need more people to piss off.
He's the one with the gold nuggets, ladies and gentlemen. I had to figure out which side I was pointing to. One thing, Josh, I forgot to say it earlier. Do we have a video going up Monday?
Yes. The Apartment Bros recorded a couple of videos, and we're playing. Should be Heave Ho, which
it's a lot of fun.
Don't want to get too much into it since we're wrapping up, but that game was fun as shit, and we need to play it again with 4 people because it was utter chaos with 3. So I can't wait to see what it's like with 4.
I've got it on Steam and I've never played it, so that's good to hear.
It's a lot of fun. It's fun as shit.
That's good to hear. I want to play it. Of course, earlier this week we put up House Flipper 3, Property Dads 3 with Tyler.
Yo, what's up? I'm Tyler.
Fucking Tyler.
We might have to reel that one back. So next week we'll be back with Hard at Play. Please join us for that. We're going to be diving into The Last of Us Part 2. We're going to be diving into it a lot and talking about it a lot and spoiling the shit out of it. It will be a very special episode for something that's very special to me, at least, and I believe to Josh, but I can't speak for him. So
it has become a special game to me now that I've played 1 and 2 in the span of like
3 weeks. Yeah. All right. With that being said, guys, it is always fun. Thank you again for joining us. My name is Justin. This is Josh, and over there is Eric. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Hi, I'm Joshua Shoemate from Roommates Gaming, and you're watching the Disney Channel.
No, we can't do that.
Hey, apparently we can't do that, so instead, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content. And check out some of these family-friendly videos.
The trick is, they're not really family-friendly.
Ba-da-da-da-da.